Allied with green. Vocabulary. Addiction. Addiction is a habit upon which a person becomes physically or emotionally dependent. She has an addiction to chocolate. Remorseful. You feel very sorry for something that you have done. If you are remorseful, apologize and say sorry. Median. A dividing area between opposing lanes of traffic in a highway or road. Medians are more common in areas with heavy traffic because they control traffic flow. Arboretum. A place where many trees are grown for educational purposes. People visit an arboretum to see trees and to be in nature. Obituary. A public notice of a person's death. In obituary, I would expect to see information about someone's life. Dale. Valley. I felt the river dip down and up a shallow dale in the water. Scant. Just short of, little, not enough. She pays scant attention to the needs of host children. Swirl. To move quickly with a twisting, circular movement. The storm was forming off in the distance, swirling rapidly towards me like a dark grey avalanche. Canoe. A small light narrow boat. I maneuvered the canoe as best with the old I could in the wind and rushing water. Maneuvered. To handle and move something carefully or with difficulty. I maneuvered the canoe as best I could in the wind and rushing water. Swooshed. To make the sound of air or water that move quickly. The trees swooshed loudly as the leaves and branches brushed hard together.
Allied with green. Short story by Naomi Shihab Nye. For her paper on What I Believe In, Lucy writes first, the color green. That's how everything starts. A tiny shoot of phrase prickling the mind. Then she runs around for a few days doing other things, but noticing the green poking up between buildings, on sides of roads, in front of even the poorest homes. How pots of green lined on rickety front porches, hanging baskets of green on light posts downtown. The new meticulous xeriscape beds of puffy green grasses and plants alongside the river are what seem to keep everything else going. If people could not see green from the windows of the hospital might fall down. She believes this. Once she starts making a list, it will not stop. Green has had a terrible summer. Threatened by the longest drought and highest heat in recorded history, green has had many second thoughts. Lucy's family could only water with a sprinkler on Wednesday evenings between 8 and 10. When she and her mom wash lettuce, blueberries, peaches, they carry the plastic tubs of fruit water outside to pour onto a plant. It's ritual now. It's holy water. The city had a water waster hotline. It made the national news. You could turn people in for excessive watering. Last semester, when asked to write a paper on addictions, Lucy wrote about trimming and got a C. Her teacher scrawled across the top of the paper, "What is this?" But Lucy often feels happiest with pruning shears in her hand, heading toward an overgrown jasmine vine. It's a clear task, trimming. The longer you've done it, the more you know how it encourages green in the long run. Also, you can have fine ideas while trimming. Queen's crown, germander, plumbago, snip, snip, snip. She knew it had been mentioned before, but thought she ought to include how cities assault their green for 2 reasons: money and greed. Later, feeling remorseful or sickened by the new view, they name everything for green. Oak meadows, lone pine. You could find it almost anywhere now. Lucy's father demonstrated against developments when he was in college. She had a faded black and white picture of him holding a no sign, his hair bushy and wild. Highways slashing through green space. He now drives one of those highways almost every day, feeling guilty. He plants free trees in scrappy medians as an apology. Sometimes people steal them. When he planted 4 little palms in pots as a gift to Freddie's Mexican restaurant, they got plucked from the soil overnight. Obviously, some people were desperate for green. And surely, with all the population issues now, some developments were necessary. But look at what happened. Before you knew it, hills sheared, meadows plucked, fields erased. The world turns into an endless series of strip centers. Yo, Joni Mitchell. Joni sang about parking lots when the world had probably half the number it has now. Her dad told her that. She likes Joni Mitchell. The boulevard wakes up when a strip of green is planted down its center. The sad room smiles again when a pot of green is placed on a white tablecloth. No one goes to Seattle to see the concrete. An exhausted kid says, "I'm going outside." Sick of her mother's voice, she knows she will feel better with bamboo. In Dallas, people run around the lake or refresh themselves at the arboretum. San Antonians send their kids to summer digging classes at the botanical gardens. The kids come home with broccoli after a while. Patience is deeply involved with green. It's required. So, why don't people respect green as much as they should? This was the serious question growing small fronds and tendrils at the heart of Lucy's paper. She knew her teacher might turn a snide nose up at it. Oh, blah, blah. Isn't this rather a repeat of what you wrote last semester? People took green for granted. They assumed it would always be skirting their ugly office buildings and residences, and so they didn't give it the attention it deserved. Somewhat like air. Air and green, close cousins. Lucy truly loved the words pocket park. She loved community gardeners with purple bandanas tied around their heads. She loved their wild projects, rosemary grown so big you could hide in it. She loved roofs paved with grass. She loved the man in New York City, Robert Isabel, who planted pink impatiens on the metal overhang of his building. He had started out as a florist at 17 in Minnesota. Green state in the summer, not so green in December. Then he moved to New York City and became a major party planner, incorporating flowers, lighting, tents, fabrics, to create magical worlds of festivity. He didn't attend his own parties. He disappeared once he got everything set up. Sometimes he hid behind a giant potted plant to see what people liked. Lucy found his obituary in the newspaper, clipped it out, and placed it on her desk. She wished she could have worked for him, just to learn how he put flowers together on tables, how he clipped giant green stalks and placed them effectively around a tent to make Morocco, Italy, the French Riviera. Transporting. Green could take you away. Save you. But you had to care for it, stroke it, devote yourself to it, pray to it, organize crews for it, bow down to it. You had to say the simple holy prayer, rearranging the words any way you liked best. Dig, grow, deep, roots, light, air, water, tend. Tend was a more important verb than most people realized. You had to carry a bucket.